Also, I would like to see the rewards system in treatment centers reversed. Right now, it's pretty much that, for example, if you eat so many calories out of your dietary plan, then you get so many privileges or what have you. And if you don't eat those calories or whatever, then you don't get the privileges you normally would. So you're rewarded for eating and that kind of thing. The problem with that, in my mind, is that it rewards you, it makes you feel like you have to, or it has the potential to make you feel like you have to earn your privileges or your ability to socialize, or your right to socialize, which is a negative thing. The plan that I would use, it would be more, it would reverse the system, so you're essentially assumed innocent until you're proven guilty. It would present recovery as something that is imperfect. You know, if they find out that you've purged, you've purged. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, punishing you by taking your phone pass away isn't going to change that. And the belief systems behind the disorder and the habits itself it's something that is going to take time to change. So it needs to be a little bit more forgiving than the current system is what I'm getting at. You can use a leveled system within that. So for example, when you first enter, you're allowed so many so many missed meals or purges or what have you, and as you go through recovery, it becomes stricter, so that, you know, you do have some, you know, well, we have to make some, we have to draw the line somewhere, but it makes it so that you're not feeling like you have to earn your way out. It's already assumed that you have the power to get better. Within that, utilize the therapist contracts, where if you lose a certain amount or if you purge a certain amount, that the staff can intervene and, you know, administer an IV or whatever needs to be done, so that the autonomy is not violated and you still have some control over what is happening to you. My system, the current system focuses on what you can't do. For example, you can't call home if you don't eat X number of calories, where my system focuses on what you can do. You can call home because you did eat your calories. The next thing is the literature that exists. It's very biased. Much of it is very biased. And so there needs to be a code of ethics on how this literature is distributed, because many people are using it as, again, eating disorder Bibles, training manuals on how to have an eating disorder. The one idea I came up with to solve this problem is that maybe there could be a double requirement at a library. So if you wanted to check out eating disorder literature, for example, if you were a minor, you had to get parental consent. If you wanted to access a website about eating disorders, you had to log in to the website by providing 2 email addresses, your own and then an alternate email address of somebody that you know. Now, the reason for this isn't to violate privacy, and it's not to censor in any way. The content is not intended to be changed. The intent is to make sure that somebody knows that that literature is being reviewed. And the purpose of that is to give the eating disordered individual an opportunity to talk about it. Why are you checking out this literature? Why do you need this? Is it for yourself? And it keeps them accountable. And so if they want to know about the disorder, or if they wanted to use that information, if it's a benign reason, or if they're using it for a friend, you know, who is sick and they want to know more, they should have no problem, you know, having their parents sign off on that or whatever. And it just prevents people from suffering in silence, essentially. It helps keep people accountable to other people. Another option is to, you know, if privacy is really an issue in that regard, websites in particular could offer, you know, a pop-up program, similar to that on adult websites or what have you. they could, whenever you go to that website, automatically have a pop. They wouldn't restrict your access, but they would have a pop-up that would maybe have the number of an eating disorder hotline or something, so that the individual is always constantly reminded when they go to those kinds of sites that there is help out there, and it's all they need to do is write the number or the web address or email address down. And also, if parents go to that website, it automatically provides a source to go to. That source might be local, or they can provide a resource that's more local than what the number is. But either way, it gives the eating disordered individual or their family and friends information at that point, which is very much needed. Within that regard, too, the literature needs to make sure that they have addendums at the beginning that emphasize the fact that the content of the literature is not intended to be used as a how-to manual, and it is intended to provide the information on how dangerous the eating disorders are. There should be, at the back of every source, there needs to be adequate sources where you can go to. Very few, there's an alright number of literature sources that give treatment center referral numbers and that kind of thing, but they're not updated very much, and a lot of times they're out of date, so those needed to be, you need to have new editions put out all the time and make sure that those are accurate. Also, that when you're presenting information, a lot of times when people hear about eating disorders, it's done, for example, as a school project or something along those lines, where it's not a professional or somebody who has experience with the disorder who's really giving the information. So what ends up happening is that the information, again, follows stereotypes. It's presented in such a way that people who want to utilize the information might feel uncomfortable doing so. For example, one common thing to do is to make a slideshow or a PowerPoint presentation that can be shown in a class or a lecture hall. And so a referral number might be given on this slideshow, but if you go to write that number down, you're writing that number down in front of everybody else, and everybody else can see you doing it. And so they know that either somebody you know has a problem or you do yourself, and that can be very intimidating for people to do. The other thing is that when people make a presentation, especially if they are professional, the idea is, well, we have resources up at the front, come and get them. So again, you're forced to go up in front of everybody to get the information that you need for yourself or for somebody else, which again is intimidating. So my recommendation is just that when you do have the information presented, make sure that you give information, whether it's referrals, pamphlets, what have you. When you're giving that information out, give it to every single student that you are talking to, or every person within the facility that you are addressing, because then they don't need to come up in front. You guarantee that everybody has the information. If they throw it away, they throw it away, but at least that one person, maybe that one person who's afraid to come up, has it, and they don't need to be forward and ask for it and be embarrassed about it. Also, when you're making a presentation like that, be careful not to include any graphic images to make a point. Use statistics instead. The graphic images are just seen as triggers a lot of times, especially the very pictures of emaciated women and that kind of thing. Include data on the scientific standing of eating disorders, whether or not it is an addiction or disease. Include information on what recovery options work best, whether or not you can include your family, who to go to, those kinds of things, referral info, so that not only do you get information on the disorder, you get information of where to go to get treatment. Usually people, or the presentations are heavy on one or the other, and usually it's just the data and not where to go or what works.